are severely damaged. The waters pushed heavy equipment off their original locations, even exposing a main pipeline that flows out of state.
Man, with all the problems with oil these days, I don't see why we don't just use perpetual motion machines for our energy.
Evan, perpetual motion machines are impossible.
No, they're not. They're easy to make. I bet I could make one right now. Alright, Halsey, I made the perpetual motion machine. Here's how it works. You pour water into the cup, and the water will drip down the tube all the way back into the cup. And boom, you have infinite energy.
That won't work because gravity will keep the water from pouring out of the tube.
It'll work just fine. Let's test it out. This is definitely going to work.
No, it isn't.
Just pour the water, Halsey. Alright, and as soon as I take my thumb off the end of the tube, the water will surely drip right back into the cup. Hold on. Why doesn't gravity just turn off for a moment or something?
I told you, Evan. There's a long history of perpetual motion machines not working. Right, Joe?
That's right, Halsey. In fact, over the centuries, hundreds, if not thousands, of hopeful inventors have dedicated their lives to disproving the laws of thermodynamics by building machines they believed would run indefinitely with no input of energy. But first, I would like to give a little background about the idea of perpetual motion itself. The term perpetual motion is perhaps a bit misleading, since technically, nothing about the laws of thermodynamics prohibits something from moving forever. Arguably, the motion of planets in space and electrons in atoms is, in some sense, perpetual. But the point of building a perpetual motion machine is typically not to just get something to stay in motion, but to do work of some sort. Propel a vehicle, power a mill, heat your coffee, or run your computer. This is where conflict occurs with the first two laws of thermodynamics, the law of conservation and the law of entropy. A machine could achieve perpetual motion only by violating one or both of these laws. For example, if there were some sort of motor that spun on its own forever, that would be a violation of the first law, because it would produce energy output without energy input. And if there were a device that converted electricity into motion, and then used that motion to drive a generator producing more electricity, to keep the cycle going indefinitely, that would violate the second law, which predicts that eventually the loss of energy due to inefficiency would cause the machine to stop. So the question most perpetual motion and free energy enthusiasts start with is, who says I can't break those laws anyway? Surely, the inventor says, there must be some way to exploit gravity, magnetism, or other natural forces in such a way as to produce a machine that will run forever. And the attempts over the years to do so have been nothing if not creative. Some devices are purely mechanical, others depend on water, gases, or chemical reactions. Still, others have no visible moving parts, operating at a molecular or even quantum level. A favorite approach has been to try to use gravity to turn a wheel. The wheel is designed in such a way that the descending side is always heavier than the ascending side. This same idea that when something is heavier on one side, it will result in motion toward the heavier side, a central idea behind many perpetual motion machine proposals, was used by Robert Boyle when he devised the hydrostatic paradox, aka the experiment we just attempted. It would seem that the larger weight on the left would force water down and around the narrow neck where the weight is less, and then it would flow out the orifice at the top to replenish the water in the vase. The paradox was that though this seemed perfectly reasonable to many persons, it just didn't work out that way. In fact, it worked in accordance with the Aristotelian principle that water seeks its own level. The water levels were equal left and right and stayed that way. Like Boyle's hydrostatic paradox, each design that has actually been built, large or small, simple or complex, has eventually stopped producing energy, if in fact it ever worked at all, just as the laws of thermodynamics said would happen. In a typical scenario, an inventor has an idea for a novel design. When the machine is actually constructed, it seems to work for a while but then stops, prompting the inventor to conclude that with further refinement, it would keep going. Or a device appears to produce excess energy until it is discovered that the measurement technique was flawed, and that energy from another source was in fact being applied to the system. Because it's possible to make extremely efficient machines that run for a very long time with just a small initial injection of power, it's tempting to believe that a truly perpetual solution is just around the corner. The only problem is, the distance between a very long time and forever is infinite. Back to you, Halsey.
Thanks, Joe.
See, look, it works when you put it into another cup. I just don't understand it, because I saw this video of a Norwegian artist who made a perpetual motion machine.
I have the same feeling as I have when I'm looking in the fire. Something links me to the future.
Reidar Fintrud is a Norwegian and lives in a small fishing village just outside Oslo.
This wheel is something else. The weight is on the top of the wheel. And from this position you can start working. I think he has to do something else. He has to do something. And so I start with the pendulums. I look at the wheel and put strings on all over it. So it comes up. When I had a lot of hanging parts, it's come up. Amazing. It was the yin and yang system. And then it started to be so amazing, so I couldn't go to sleep. I had to stay awake and make this machine. What was the beginning? What was the meaning with the yin and yang? This is the mathematical symbol for the force, the free force.
Reidar Fintrud works 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and his obsessive nature shows clearly in this self-portrait. Reidar genuinely believes that, scaled up, his perpetual motion machine could well form the foundation upon which a new egalitarian society could be built, with everyone receiving free energy. And in fear that there may be those who would wish to suppress such a possibility, he keeps his machine locked away in a vault in the basement of his gallery. But is it perpetual motion? The beauty of Reidar's machine is the harmonious relationship between the ball, the magnets, and the pendulums. The ball is attracted to the horseshoe magnets, but the swing of the pendulums ensures these are lowered just in time to allow the ball to pass. Then this small round magnet is momentarily attracted to the ball, which sets off a series of fulcrums and springs attached to the much heavier pendulum hidden within the main brass stem of the machine. This central pendulum is surrounded by powerful magnets that force it to bend this spring and so oscillate the track in such a way as to ensure it is at all times slightly lower just in front of the ball. These springs in the center of the track are there to give the three smaller pendulums an extra boost each time the ball passes over them, thus ensuring they do not lose any of their momentum. In order to generate electricity, the ball would have to have enough momentum to, say, hit the arm of a paddle wheel each time it passes. And once you have an axle that turns, you have the ability to generate electricity. But the importance of Reidar's machine cannot be overstated. Over the 3 days it was filmed, the ball maintained a constant speed measured to 1/25th of a second. There would therefore appear to be no reason why this machine should not continue to run forever. Perpetual motion, something that for 300 years conventional science has said is impossible.
At this point in human history, it's impossible to determine whether or not perpetual motion machines actually work.
Or is it?